What's going on, everybody? I am here with the one and only Rob Hamilton, CEO and CTO, maybe not officially, but and CTO of Anchorwatch. I'm going to allow Rob to describe what Anchorwatch is in just a second, but we're here at the MIT Bitcoin and Freedom Tech Expo. Rob, you love freedom, you love Bitcoin. Tell us what you have built in the Bitcoin space.
So in Bitcoin, the simplest way I call it is just Bitcoin native insurance being held in cold storage.
Okay.
There's two pieces of that. There is the insurance contract. We are a Lloyd's of London cover holder. And what that means is that we are direct agents representative of Lloyd's of London. We do underwriting, we do the distribution, trying to find customers. And when you get your policy, it is a Lloyd's of London policy with your name on it, tied to your Bitcoin in your vault. And the other side of the business is actually how we execute that by a technology stack, a custody technology stack called Trident Vault, leveraging Bitcoin native scripting primitive called Miniscript that allows you to do more advanced smart contracts. And the ultimate premise is that if Bitcoin is programmable money. Mm-hmm. And we're talking a lot about that stuff at the conference here about different ways people are using it for freedom. What we've done is to kind of revisit the arrangement when it comes to custodians, and that you're paying a custody fee, but either you are uninsured or you are fractionally insured compared to the amount of assets that are held at a custodian. And so for us, we're kind of flipping that on its head and offering one-to-one insurance. We can write policies up to $100 million per customer, starting at $250,000. So we can do retail and commercial in the United States today. And our rates for the insurance start as low as 40 basis points. So you start comparing it to uninsured custody, I would say makes a compelling opportunity as an alternative place to secure your Bitcoin. Okay.
Has the whole world seen this opportunity yet? Who has come to Anchorwatch now that it's up and running? After some time, I might add, I spoke with Becca, your co-founder at Anchorwatch, and I think it was a good 2 years of development, which is amazing. Sticking with it, creating something like you've created, first of its kind sort of product, 0 to 1. Yeah. Who now that the doors are open, who's coming for business? Who's coming to use this policy?
Yeah, so as of now, we have a heavy distribution, I would say, towards retail, because as individuals, they're able to faster act. They don't have to go through their own corporate governance and due diligence review processes. The larger the corporate entity, the longer the process is for change, whether it's going through requests through proposals and governance checks and vendor selection and bake-offs, whereas an individual can be like, I want to keep my Bitcoin secured. I'm going to go check into this, right? Yep. And on that side, I would say retail is the general bucket. People that are holding, we don't talk about specifics or details, but meaningful sizes of Bitcoin. The opportunity, I think, is we launched the product in January. We have been a company for 3 years. So for the past 3 years, coming up to our launch was a dual path, executing both the insurance strategy by becoming a Lloyd's of London cover holder and going through all of the compliance and the due diligence on that side. And then on the other side was building out the entire wallet infrastructure and custody tech. Okay. So those all kind of came into a happy road in the middle, and we got the approval at the end of last year, and we launched in January.
Okay. For those who are maybe Bitcoin native, not familiar with this Lloyd's of London term you're using, this business that you're talking about. So let's rewind a little bit, little context here. What is Lloyd's of London? Why is it important in terms of what you're doing?
Absolutely, yeah. So at the end of the day, insurance is a capital market, right? The base premise being is I have a pool of reserves and assets that in the event that a claim happens for whatever kind of insurance policy it is, you can think it maybe most akin to a property policy if we're talking about Bitcoin and cold storage. There's many kinds of risk. There's cyber risk, there's crime risk, there's health and life and like all these different buckets. But Bitcoin actually falls into the bucket of specie. When you can think about it like rare art, fine art is a really good corollary. Okay. When we were talking to the insurance markets of what is most comparable to this, as well as precious metals, right? So Lloyd's of London is the oldest kind of insurance marketplace on the planet.
In the world, right?
Yeah. And it's started in the 1600s originally with ships and like kind of spice trade routes. It was kind of the Lloyd's Coffee House was kind of the origination of this, where you would have experienced captains come together and they became the underwriting pool. So you had successful merchants who would say, oh, you're going to go to here, you're going to go to Indonesia and pick up silk. If you do these routes and follow these rules and you give us 10% of your cargo, if you get shipwrecked, we'll pay you to buy a new ship, right? So this idea of sharing risk and qualified experts kind of coming in and being able to lay capital on the line and sharing of risk. Lloyd, the way I actually most describe it though, is if you think like the New York Stock Exchange, everyone's trading equity. Lloyd's of London is that, but trading risk, right? So you have different major insurance carriers in the world that all have desks there. And then you have reinsurers who insure the insurance companies.
Okay.
And they are able to buy and sell risk amongst each other, pool risk, come together in what are called syndicates for kind of coming together and saying, we want to back this kind of risk.
Yeah.
So that is kind of like I would say the most premium name when it comes to insurance, of the highest quality with the largest balance sheets and kind of the most prestige in history. And when you're trying to think about a counterparty for a financial contract like insurance, you want to have someone who has a very healthy, robust balance sheet. And that was, for us at the start, we wanted to go there. And Lloyd's is also infamously known for being the ones that get all the weird stuff.
Is that right?
Yeah, so like if you're like an athlete, you can insure your elbow. If you're an actor, you can insure your face. Right?
So Beyonce insures her voice through Lloyd's.
Right. Yeah. So like all these kind of like risks that you can't walk into your local State Farm office and get a policy for, right? And this goes into a long alchemy of like insurance law in the United States. We can kind of skip past. But yeah, like Lloyd's is like the most prestigious name and the most well-known name when it comes to being able to insure risk. And knowing that if you have a $100 million Lloyd's of London policy, it's a real policy. It's not a fly-by-night operation. And as a startup, insurance is not quite something you can just do out of your basement and start selling insurance. You have to kind of get the proper capital markets.
Yeah.
And to be able to have a business of size, we wanted to be able to do larger policies. And so that kind of put us down that path of going down for Lloyd's of London.
Okay.
And they've been amazing partners.
Okay. Other side of the Anchorwatch equation here is you developing on Miniscript.
Yes.
Okay. So we have this part of Bitcoin that's quite expressive, as you've figured out and showed the world. Why weren't people looking in this direction to do something like what you did with Miniscript? Why wasn't this something that had been conceptualized prior?
So it's interesting. So the story with Miniscript, and the one sentence summary is, I call it bowling with bumpers. It allows you to do more advanced ways you control and manage your Bitcoin without programming it incorrectly so you lose your money for it.
Interesting.
So you can't throw a gutter ball, right? As long as you have the keys and the material, you're able to build any kind of Bitcoin smart contract that won't fail.
So to put it a different way, maybe just so people follow,
Certainly.
You couldn't create some sort of time lock process that's like eternal. You couldn't come up with something that says, I'll never be able to access this Bitcoin again.
Exactly, right. Yeah, so you could buy command line, make your own custom Bitcoin script, but if you forget something or don't do it correctly, you can just send money into that address and it never moves.
That's it. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So you figured this out. What are some of the capabilities of it, and what are you offering customers using this?
So the two main features are, one, multi-signatures of multi-signatures. So you can actually do multiple keys, and this is really interesting from what we call like a key hierarchy.
Yep.
And what this allows Anchorwatch to do is we call it negative control. So for the length of your insurance policy, we at Anchorwatch, at any point ever, are never able to unilaterally move funds.
Okay.
And that's provable on-chain. You can get it audited yourself. The other side of this, too, is that when the insurance contract expires, we use something called time locks. And after the insurance policy expires, you yourself can remove the money without ever having to talk to us again.
Right.
So it changes the custodian dynamic, where you have to maybe get on the phone and ask someone, hey, can I get my Bitcoin back?
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that here.
Okay.
So the reason why I don't think it was adopted was just there was a bit of a chicken and egg situation where Andrew Polster, Peter Will, and Sanket Kandahar, formerly of Blockstream, and they're Andrew's still at Blockstream, but Peter and Sanket have moved on. Built this idea. They wanted to be able to take these like sane ways of building this whole more advanced smart contracting. That was the Miniscript project, and it kind of sat on ice. The big movement was when Salvatore at Ledger added Ledger support. So I emailed Andrew Polster, be like, I am going to be building on this. What's the problem? He said, no hardware wallets really support Miniscript yet. And I said, Ledger added it just last week.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, no one told me. And in that moment, I was like, oh, this is actually the moment where this stuff can actually start arriving. There are UX challenges. You have to kind of think about your Bitcoin security across time, which is something that people haven't been used to up to this point.
Sure.
But for me as a business owner, I can't rely on Bitcoin changing. And so this allowed me to really maximize layer one custody security that doesn't involve a protocol change today.
Okay.
And that was really took off to the races. Now there's a couple other companies that are building on it. I'm really promising to see what's happening over this year and next year. I think there's gonna be more coming for sure.
So it was a question, we were talking a little bit before this. It's something I wanted to ask you. It's so you and Becca are sort of very much embedded in the culture, and though we're building, on this sort of this Bitcoin, this trustless thing of a trustless nature. I think people in the space, they like to direct people to people that they trust. So do you have an advantage, being who you are, the one and only Rob Hamilton, that is going to maybe attract people to what you're doing versus what some competitors create and try to offer the market?
I think possibly. I think you could say that. I think ultimately over time, I'd rather than my name and reputation, rather the product speak for itself.
Sure.
Right. I want to. Maybe that's what gets people initially. Oh, I've heard you on a podcast. I saw you speak at a conference, and that may be a starting point. But really, I think I'm just very laser focused, and Becca is as well, on just providing good value to the end customer.
Sure.
And we just think that if you're going to use a counterparty, you're going to use someone that's helping you manage your Bitcoin, like a custodian.
Yep.
You would want the financial guarantees of insurance in it.
Yep.
And so I think like on that base premise, we're attacking it. And I think for initial distribution, it's great to be able to already be plugged in, have some sort of rapport and understanding that I'm not some drop-in person from the insurance industry. I'm new to Bitcoin. I'm here to fix it, right?
Like just mini scripting away,
Right, and kind of like coming at it from the community side and understanding the technology and the tools. I think definitely helps with initial credibility. But I think over time, I'm hoping to compound on that and make it be the product.
Yeah, very cool. One of the things Becca said that I thought was really interesting when I spoke with her was that even putting it out there that you have your Bitcoin insured through Anchorwatch might be even a way to protect yourself so that people wouldn't come after you. Could you touch on that dynamic a little bit? Because I think it's worth repeating.
Yeah, so intentionally we have, this is almost like you have like the ADT security sticker outside your house, right? Just the base concept is just that attackers tend to try and find the easiest targets with the highest payout.
Yep.
Now, the first thing is, it's not easy in the sense that if I even came into your house and tried to get you to give me your Bitcoin, you're not going to be able to move the Bitcoin unless we co-sign, right? So that immediately means that your attacker window here is you're trying to move in, do something quick and get out. Mm-hmm. It'd be days, or depending on someone, it could even be weeks based on how you've set up. When you set up your vault, you can be like, I don't want to spend from this all year.
Yeah.
And if you do that and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I need to move all my money right now, that's not going to be an instant process, right? And time is the enemy of the attacker when they're trying to conduct these thefts.
Right.
On the flip side, even if, let's say, a theft is successful, we are internally motivated. This is a concept of insurance called subrogation.
Okay.
Where if you get into a car accident and your car's totaled, and the insurance company pays you the claim out, the insurance company owns the scrap metal to the car. The idea is that I'm taking this broken property off you, and they, helps come back their claim costs. They, total the car and sell it for scrap, and it helps manage their costs. On the flip side for us, if someone steals that Bitcoin, we know that Bitcoin is stolen property, and we're kind of keeping an eye on that in perpetuity.
Yeah.
Right. So that's just from an attacker perspective, there's going to be someone that's going to have a lot less attention on it.
Yeah.
And that Bitcoin being property of Lloyd's of London in the long arc of history, they're patient.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, right? It's almost like a force out, right? They'll be very patient in that recovery. So I think on those both, one, it's high friction to be able to take initially, and then on the flip side too, even if it is successful, you're going to have a high burden cost on top of that. It's a very strong deterrent where you're maybe trying to find someone else who's just keeping all their Bitcoin on their computer at their house.
Okay. So you're in the early stages of scaling the company as well. Right. My feelings are that when people learn about what this is, there's going to be many people who are interested in it. When do you feel like maybe, I don't know if this is maybe too of an ambitious way to put it, when do you think maybe the floodgates open and everyone says you offer what? And just, they want some Anchorwatch coverage.
Month over month, we're seeing growth, which is good. As you're starting from nothing, right? You expect to see that. I think every time there is, either a big attack, like a person, like a wrench attack, or an exchange insolvency or issue, we get a huge spike in interest to the website and a lot of people. So I think, and that just kind of compounds and builds, right? I think that's something that over the course of this year, now that we're live in market, is going to be really building on that advantage. And the unfortunate nature of just Bitcoin is that you don't have to usually wait too long for something to go wrong somewhere. And so all of those exogenous events that happen are really good for us. A perfect example is the Bybit hack. There was a lot of conversation just around wait a second, this was a prolific like Bybit. They're a big exchange. They're managing billions and billions of dollars. And seeing that hack, a lot of people were reevaluating their security. And then wait a second, Bybit didn't have insurance. So every time a custodian has a mismanagement of funds, and we're able to kind of use that as an opportunity to be able to call out, there are better ways to be able to manage this.
So you're saying you're planning to back up people's Ethereum holdings?
No, not just
what you're sort of getting at. Okay.
It's actually fascinating. A conversation too long for now, but I did a Twitter thread on this where the nature of the Ethereum smart contract, you can't validate if I'm sending you 1 ETH. if you're using Bitcoin, it's like, I'm sending 1 ETH to this address.
Yep.
In ETH, it just says, hey, you're updating the signature for this smart contract holding the multi-sig. Do you accept or deny? And on the ledger, it says, accept the risk and send.
Yeah, you showed me a picture.
And like, it's just the most wild way of describing it. So there's a reason why we built on Bitcoin, not only as insurance as a capital market and an AUM business, as opposed to a transaction volume-based business where you're getting like exchange revenue by buying and selling tokens. Us is for the long-term holding. That naturally just benefits to Bitcoin as the largest capital asset. And also all of our technology stack leverages the best-in-class security, which offers better protection, which greatly couples with insurance.
Okay, interesting. Can I get to the tough question now? Is that all right? You have a red shirt on underneath your shirt. Is that, what brand is? Oh, is that PodConf? Interesting.
It's the PodConf.
I think the people want to know, is there any Rob Hamilton affiliation with the PodConf?
Well, I'm a real verified pleb.
Right.
So I'm on their verification. I believe the rights symbol, actually. They use the rights symbol there. As you can see, it's very important part of the logo mark. I am not PodConf. I am not the Bugle. I'm a huge fan of them. And I've recently been upgraded to a tier 1 influencer in the PodConf power rankings. And I take that title very seriously and kind of pushing forward the beauty that is compliance in Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's as good of a place to end it as any. So Rob, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. We will talk soon.
Thanks.
Take it easy, everybody.